Hey guys, Hopeful here, and today I'm going to be starting the series where I explain how to play Doomfist on every map. Instead of doing the Advanced Tip series, I'm going to be doing this series because there's already a lot of Doomfist players that have explained almost everything there is to know about Doomfist, all his little tips, mechanics. So instead of doing that, I've realized that there's not many people that explain how to actually play Doomfist, where to set up, where to position, when to go in. So for this series, I'm going to be explaining all of that, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the most of Doomfist. So the first thing you're going to want to do on King's Row is actually come out the right door instead of the top door, because I see a lot of Doomfist come out top door, and although I guess you could set up, faster, what it'll do is the other team will see that you're playing Doomfist, and they'll try to set up consciously to know that there's a Doomfist coming. They'll have a little bit of time before you are able to roll out. So if you come out right door, they usually won't see you coming until the last second when you're punching across to get behind them. They'll have a little bit of less time to be able to set up and know that there's a Doomfist coming behind them. So once you're fully behind them, you have one of two options. Either one, you slam towards their tanks who are usually on point and displace them, punch them towards your team, uppercut them, do whatever you want. Or you could actually dive the supports who are usually towards the back wall, and almost 100% of the time you will either punch one of them, kill one of them, uppercut one of them. You will usually end up getting a kill. So let's say that doesn't end up working and you don't successfully pull off the flank. It's okay, don't worry. There's another option where, actually two options, where one, you could go straight to the hotel when your team is pushing up, and you wait for them to get on the point, and once they're there, you usually see the supports near the bridge or in front of the bridge, and they'll usually be by themselves. So what you could do is just dive them, get a kill, and then punch away towards your team. So the second option here is to actually, instead of going to the hotel, you go to the right building, and you don't go high ground. Instead of going high ground, you actually end up going to the doorway that leads them to high ground. So you want to wait there for a bit and hope they don't see you, and once you're set up there, you usually want to slam towards them on the point, uppercut someone. Usually there'll be a DPS there if they're not high ground, so you can either get a kill on the DPS, a support, and then you manage to get away. So once you've captured point A, immediately what you want to do is actually end up going high ground, so that you're not playing ground Doomfist. It could work, but they'll expect it more and they'll prepare for you to punch in or slam in. So it's better to go high ground here, and what you want to do is go top left and wait for a bit so that the payload actually ends up reaching midway, or midway through the first streets, and you want to wait there for a bit. And then what you want to do is, once they're setting up to defend, you're going to want to punch down right here, and usually the supports will be in the back playing right there, and you're going to end up getting a kill, and you're going to end up getting away for free. If you want to be a little cheeky with the rollout, what you could do is set up on the little spot that everyone knows about, or most people know about, and then wait for them to set up where they usually set up. And once they're there, you want to slam in once you've bounced up, which you have to wait 4 seconds for you to bounce up, and you get a 125 damage slam, a free uppercut, and it'll usually end up with a free kill. So once you've gone through second point streets and it's their last chance to contest, what you want to do is set up top left high ground in the little hallway so that you can go behind them when they push up. You want to wait a little bit for their tanks and DPS to push up, and then you're going to end up slamming on their supports or whoever's in the back line, but you're going to want to make sure that the DPS aren't there with them, because if they're there with them, you get stunned, you're actually fucked. But I mean, with Doomfist, if you're ever stunned, you're fucked. So you're going to be careful when you initiate here, because if you die but get a trade, you usually end up losing the fight, since they do have a closer spawn than you do. But let's say you don't end up winning that fight and you end up trading and end up losing. What you're going to want to do is, you really can't set up high ground anymore, since the team is already set up on last point of the second street phase. So what you're going to do is, you're going to have to play ground doom, like I said earlier. So here you're going to want to look for punches from the right behind this little I guess you could say, I don't know what it is, it's like an engine or something. You're going to look for punches there, and you want to immediately slam out. You're going to want to punch anything. It doesn't have to be a support, tank, DPS, it could be anything. You just want to do as much damage as you can and displace anyone. If you've taken second point, you're gonna, as fast as you can, set up on the high ground to the right, not the left, because if you end up setting up to the left, when they come out of spawn, they'll see you and they know you're there, and you're gonna have to like make it out without dying. But if you go on the high ground to the right and there's no DPS to go up there, there should be almost no way that the team knows you're there unless you peek or get discorded or something like that. Here is definitely the best high ground because you'll have a better chance to punch someone, and punching someone at this point is almost crucial because it's third point, and not only that, but the main street has 2 walls on both sides. So you'll guaranteed get a punch here, and you'll be able to get off for free since there's 2 high grounds you could punch to, and your team's always really close to you. Or you can dive the supports in the back line, which you definitely do not want to do unless you have meteor strike, because 10 times out of 10 you will die, and probably with a kill, but maybe not. If you can't end up getting top right high ground, your second best bet will be to just place in the mega room and just go in for punches. If you get held right before you cap third point, it's honestly the best thing to get off of Doom here, because not only can you not flank anywhere, but they're also going to see you if you try to set up for a rollout. So if you don't have meteor strike when you go in, you're most likely going to die, and maybe you'll get a kill, but it won't matter since they literally spawn right there, and they'll get there like 10 seconds before you do. But if you have meteor strike and you want to go in, I guess, for like one last time, you could just pull off this little flank underneath. So now that we're done with attack Doom, it's time to move on to how I play defensive Doomfist. Usually first point defense, I like to set up either top left, either on their side or our side, because they usually won't expect the Doomfist to come out from there immediately for a punch, and it gives them almost no time to react. When the enemy starts pushing onto point and I'm like 1 down and I'm trying to clutch up or like get as many kills as I can before I die, I'll usually go for mega to like top off, and then I'll set up on the stairs and I'll jump on a point either with a slam or a punch, because almost all the time the enemy won't expect like a Doomfist to come out like right behind them, and it's like a perfect wall right next to point you could punch them into, and I get a kill almost every time. So if I don't have enough time to like set up on the stairs when they're capturing point, I'll usually go to their left in the hotel and come from behind them, because most of the time they won't expect it and you'll likely kill them. So if they end up capturing point A, you'll have so many options on where to go and what to do when it comes to defending second point. Especially the first stage of second point, there's so many walls everywhere to the point that like you will hit every punch, and most of the time if you hit a squishy, it will definitely kill them. And using this along with the fact that you're really close to your team most of the time, you will always get a kill and you always make it out. When it comes to second stage of second point, I'll always set up on this high ground right here, because like I said earlier, the walls are just so close together and the area is just so compact that every punch you hit will get a kill, and every punch you miss, it'll be easy to follow up with, because you can either uppercut get a kill, slam uppercut get a kill, and you'll always be able to make it out alive. When they finally push cart past the first corner and make it to the second corner, this point is so incredibly good for Doom, because you'll have the advantage when they're turning the corner, because you'll know they're coming, but they won't know you're coming unless they keep an eye out for your like Doom punches or your abilities. Every time you'll punch them into the wall, because like I've said so many times, this point is just so compact and there's almost no escaping the punches or the combos. If you want to end up going for a last minute second point contest, it's always better to come out from high ground, because if you have meteor strike and you come out, you'll get a kill and you'll manage to get away, and if your team's there to back you up, then you'll almost always win the fight. Now it's time for the last point of King's Row, which is going to be third point, which I love so much for Doomfist. This last point, every time, and I mean every time, I will set up in this spot right here, because it just gives you so much space and you get so many chances to push in and just pop off. When you're up here, you can do basically whatever you want. You could punch in, get out. You could slam in, uppercut, get out. You could use every ability on one hero and then meteor strike and get out. Like, I'm not lying when I say this. By holding up here and getting nanoed, I have held third point King's Row for like 5 or 6 minutes. So when they're about to get third point, you have an infinite amount of options on what to do and where to go when it comes to Doomfist. Since you don't have to worry about anyone flanking from behind, you can go for boops off the map, you can boop the tanks off the map, you could go underneath them, you could go above them, you could flank, you can do whatever you want as long as you're getting value from it and you're getting kills. Like seriously, you could just do whatever you want. Like, it's crazy. So that marks the end of the first episode on how to play Doomfist, with today being how to play Doomfist on King's Row. Just the last thing I want to say, before you play Doomfist, you have to keep these things in mind. When diving an enemy, or when going in, you have to keep any stuns around them. Are there any stuns around them? That's one. Two, you need to keep an eye out on who's around them. You know, if there's like a hog, brig, tank around them, if there's anyone who can strictly peel for them, which will make you not get the kill and probably die in return, then that's when you know not to go in. You have to keep an eye on your cooldowns, on your ult. You have to make mental notes of these as you go in or before you go in, so that you get the most value out of playing Doomfist. But yeah, that'll be it. Let me know if there's anything I could change. I'm pretty sure, like I said in the last video, I will look back at this in a while and just cringe because it's so bad. But you know, this is the first of this series, so if there's anything wrong, if there's anything you want to see, if there's anything I'm missing out on, just let me know and I'll fix for the next one. And yeah, thanks for watching.